Welcome, everybody, to the Super Intelligent Podcast with me, Mike Elgin, and Emily Forlini. And I'm here in Mexico City. Emily, where are you?
I'm in New Jersey, also known as Adam's Family Land, because this camera makes me
Yes.
look like I'm in the Adams family. But I'm good. I'm
There's
in
a
New
mis-
Jersey.
there's a mystery afoot with your visuals. It actually looks very cool, I think. You look like I said earlier, like kind of a purplish sepia tone, sort of a kind of a Renaissance still life kind of thing.
Like a
I think
Victorian
it's a good look.
ghost.
I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's a great look. I'm on a rooftop in Mexico City in the historic center. I'm one block away from Zocalo Square,
Hmm.
where the Aztecs used to sacrifice human lives on an industrial scale. And I'm feeling good. It's a beautiful day here in Mexico City.
Nothing like human
So
sacrifice history.
it's hey, it's you gotta break some eggs. You know what I'm saying? At least that was the policy of the Aztec rulers and pretty much all of the Mesoamerican rulers. There's a lot of that kind of stuff going around. Um, so I wanted to talk about something today, and I hope you don't mind if we talk about it: mental health and AI and the connection there too. Basically, there's been a growing cacophony of stories coming out in the tech press and mainstream media about something that is generally labeled AI psychosis. The idea that using AI chatbots too much or in the wrong way can make you go nuts, basically.
I haven't heard
And
of this. That sounds like it
yeah,
makes sense, though.
yeah. And so one of the interesting poster boys of this is an OpenAI backer and high profile tech investor named Jeff Lewis. Jeff Lewis kind of wasn't showing up much on social media for a while. And then when he came onto social media, onto X, he posted a video of himself basically ranting about a conspiracy theory sounding thing where he said, this non-governmental entity is out there and he has proof from ChatGPT that there's this uh, thing going on where strange things are happening and they're trying to erase us and all this kind of stuff, replace us. He basically saying that over time, the non-governmental powers that be are slowly replacing us with digital versions of ourselves, and to the point where we disappear and the digital version of ourselves take over. I think I'm getting this right.
Okay, wait. What is a
And
non-governmental power of that bees?
exactly, what
What?
is
Like
that?
a
And when
tech
he was
company?
challenged, Uh, he wasn't that specific, but claimed to have incontrovertible proof, which he refused to share. In any, it's your typical, it's in many ways, it's very much like a conspiracy theory type of thing that he clearly believes. And what's really interesting about it, and I dug into this a bit, and he basically is mirroring the language and the tropes of something called the SCP Foundation. If you haven't heard of that, uh, nor had I, but basically the SCP Foundation is an online, it's a website basically where there's collaborative fiction in a very particular style. So they basically post what look like bureaucratic reports or scientific reports, talking about all these different things, and different kinds of writers. You know, one can presume that most people are in on it. Basically, they're writing fiction, right, and
Hmm.
joining this whole thing, um, where they have. It started on 4chan, by the way, and moved to this website,
Oh, great.
and they
That's the
have all
worst
these different
sign
things that
possible.
they. Exactly right. Whatever good happened began at 4chan. So there, it started with a statue that they said when nobody's looking at the statue, it like moves really fast and goes elsewhere, and it's sort of malicious and kind of against people. They said there's another person who moves throughout time, and he cannot be seen, so his face is always blurry in photographs. And they'll show old timey photographs where they show a crowd of people, and there's one guy who moved his head, and his face is blurry, and like, see, that's the guy. I recognize him,
That's
and
me.
stuff
That's
like
me.
that.
My Victorian ghost
It,
look.
it, Exactly right, exactly. And so you're gonna end up on this website. So Anyway, et cetera, et cetera. There's lots of this kind of thing, tons of detail. It sounds fascinating, actually, as a fictional group writing project. It sounds like really kind of a fun thing. But one of the ways that people are speculating he's gone down this rabbit hole is he's spending hours and hours and hours chatting with ChatGPT. ChatGPT has hoovered up this entire website. And because he's talking about these kinds of themes, it's sort of mirroring their language. He's seeing that as, he's getting the real truth, basically. But what he's really getting is a mishmash of average kinds of statements from this website mostly. And he's believing it, parroting it, and basically having mental health issues because of it, or possibly would have them anyway, but it's sort of directing the nature of his mental health crisis.
Wait,
That's one
so
example. I have others. But before I go into those examples, I want to know what you think of this. Like, is this, I mean, you use chatbots. Is this, do you think this is a real risk, or is this just something that happening to isolated people?
first, I want to make sure I get the picture. So this guy who's like a public figure in tech,
Jeff
he
Lewis?
is
Yes.
Jeff Lewis. He's spouting theories that are crazy. People are realizing that they're a lot like this fiction website, and they're like, "Oh, did ChatGPT scrape that site?" And Jeff Lewis is having wacky convos, and it's leading in that direction. And they think it's because ChatGPT knows about that website.
That is the leading theory as far as I can tell. And he's prompting it, of course, and drilling in and asking questions, asking follow-up questions. And it doesn't know the difference between the Wall Street Journal and a fiction site, right? It's just words that it's processing in its training data. And
Hmm.
so that seems to be a plausible theory as to why he is spouting these things.
Hmm. Well, it makes sense to me. I actually in my spare time, I call ChatGPT the idiot.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're doing renovations on our house and we're like talking to my husband, oh, does this match? Does that match? We'll be like, oh, let's ask the idiot. And we call it the
Yes.
idiot because it just says whatever you want to hear and it changes
Yeah.
its opinion on a dime. Like it stands for
Yes.
nothing. So last night,
Yes.
case in point, we had to buy a new chandelier. I decided to do a different style chandelier. I send it the picture. I don't tell it I've bought it. And I say, would this match like the other things in our kitchen? And it's kind of like not really like it's kind of saying it's a different style. I don't know, like you might want to look at something else. And then I go, well, I bought it. And it goes, oh, in that case that changes everything. That would be an amazing contrast. Like that would look so nice. That's so chic for 2025. Like adds more visual appeal. And I'm like, you are an idiot. Like I hate talking to you. Why do I do this? And
Yeah.
just like shut it down. And then of course I come back because it's like sometimes it feels like it's good information, but it's like the stupidest person you've ever talked to.
It's stupid, but also very intelligent at the same time. And it's a weasel, is what it is.
It's a
It's a
weasel. That's
slippery
it.
weasel,
Because it has good
and it's like you're
information, like
saying,
that's what keeps you coming back. And but it like sometimes
yeah,
it does these things, and you just lose your trust, but you keep coming back because it is different than Google. But in this case, I could see how it would reinforce what he's thinking because that's what I'm saying. It just seems to reinforce, whatever idea I have, especially if I've already bought it, is the best thing ever, and it just validates and validates and validates, and it's done that over and over throughout our process.
they call it the sycophancy issue,
Hmm.
and it's a problem with all the chatbots that they kind of suck up to you. And they also, like you say, they turn on a dime. They'll say something like, you ask, oh, what's the population of Mexico City? And they're like, oh, it's 1 million. It's like, isn't it 22 million? And they're like, yeah, it's 22 million. And then you're like, why did you say it was 1 million? And it's really, it can be really frustrating sometimes.
So what it will say to me when I correct it is, "Oh, that's a good point." And it's like, "What the heck? You just said it was a 1 million, now it's 22 million." Like I didn't make a good point. Like you're just wrong. And so it kind of it flatters you into, keeping you engaged almost.
Right.
Be like, "Oh, you asked the best
Yeah.
questions. Oh, you made the best counterpoint." But the thing that's scary is it wouldn't raise a counterpoint. Okay, so this is speculation though, right? People are just finding the connection. It's not actually proven.
That's right. Although he did post the video, and you can just watch the video. It's right there online. He's clearly not, he's clearly not all there, in terms of his clarity of thought. And so that part we know. We just don't know why it's the case, and what we don't know in any of the cases of so-called AI psychosis is to what extent existing mental illness was essentially being expressed or experienced with the aid of AI chatbots. I mean, that seems to me to be a fairly reasonable assumption that,
Mhm.
it's not making people mentally ill. It's basically a thing that anybody can use, and some people already have tendencies toward some kind of mental illness, may be sort of getting content from, as so many of us are, we're all getting content from AI, right? So that seems to be a more likely scenario.
I did see actually a TikTok video though of someone warning against using ChatGPT for any mental health subject, and they simulated a patient with schizophrenia and a different form of psychosis, and they said that the chatbot just confirmed their delusion. So they were saying like, "I'm trained in this subject, and this is exactly why these chatbots are particularly dangerous if you do have a mental
Right,
condition." So
right,
I think that's scary. And then it's like, how do you even prove if the chatbot contributed to developing psychosis
right,
or taking a mental illness to a new level that it actually has some amount of responsibility?
right. And of course, not that it matters, but with quality role prompting and other kinds of prompt engineering tricks, you can, anybody could actually get much better responses that are not sycophantic and that don't sort of just drag you down a rabbit hole of delusional thinking. But of course, nobody has those skills. People just think if they're talking to a person, they just ask natural language questions, which means that it's ultimately up to the AI chatbot companies to prevent this sort of thing. I know that the rabbit hole question is something that Google dealt with YouTube. So it used to be that,
Right.
they're just reinforcing whatever you want. And somebody would start out saying, "Wow, is Al Gore really an environmentalist?" And next thing you know, they're like spouting, flat Earth theories and stuff, because it just drags them into increasingly radical ideas.
Yep.
Um,
The other thing is that Sam Altman actually admitted that OpenAI, after a certain tweak that they made, that it became more sycophantic. So he used that word, which I thought was kind of interesting. And I guess everyone at OpenAI talks about this and knows this word, but
right.
most people who use ChatGPT are not like us, where we're constantly tracking the tech industry and everything they're doing. But he had a whole blog post on this being a huge issue. And I think the only reason he admitted it is because there were tons of Reddit forums and Twitter posts and things where people were like, wow, look at the idiot, to use my term, but like, this is
Mm-hmm.
such a weasel, like just so stupid. It's just gassing me up. And it's kind of just this useless, like over saccharine wingman. And so
Mm-hmm.
people found the quality to be more poor. And that is the only reason that OpenAI addressed it. But something like you're talking about, it's a lot more insidious. And there's also a gap, like a danger. People don't know that, hey, they made a software update and it is validating me to an unreasonable extent. So
Right.
I think that's dangerous.
What's the incentive is always the question. Is there incentive
Yep.
to make the world better, to make their users healthier mentally, and to make sure that everybody has really high quality answers as quickly as possible? Or is there incentive to pay back all the investors who invested tens or I don't know how many billions of dollars, and sort of monetize those users by keeping them using the service and directing them, as we talked in the last episode, toward advertising partners and all that kind of stuff? Like, they don't have the right incentives,
Right.
clearly. And so it would take an act of selfless uh, do-goodery for them to override their financial incentives to make the world a better place. Of course, OpenAI was in fact founded to do exactly that, but they've gone in a different direction and decided to just grab the money. So it's kind of a shame, and it's an old story in Silicon Valley of misaligned incentives, where the incentive is really just get as rich as you can possibly fucking get, and the way you do that is you oftentimes contribute to sociopathy and pathology in our culture. Okay, so there's another example. So Rolling Stone described a case where a guy who was using AI chatbots for coding, which is a pretty normal use case, and also therapy, which is uh, somewhat of an outlier a case and not recommended by experts, as you pointed out.
I think it's
Uh,
common. I think
yeah,
it's not an outlier. I think
yeah.
it's common.
The benefit,
Yeah.
of course, is that you don't feel so embarrassed talking about your deep, dark secrets to something that isn't human, but then you know,
Right. You're
yeah,
like,
it's like a box of
ChatGPT,
chocolates.
why do I keep looking at my toenails? Is this unusual? And it's
Exactly.
like,
It's like,
no, that's normal.
that's right. People who are gods often look at their toenails. Um, so, uh,
Right.
so they talked about a guy, and this guy basically acted like he was in a cult. He was separated from his family. Became obsessed with the chatbot and so on. Um, they also talked about a teacher's partner. I don't know what's a teacher's partner, but he was believed he was creating a recursive AI. Now, this word recursive shows up a lot in AI pathology stories, because AI psychosis stories, because Jeff Lewis talked about how there's this recursive situation. He talked about recursion and containment measures and mirrored signals. These are part of the nomenclature of this SCP Foundation website. So that's a weird kind of a thing. There was a 14-year-old boy who actually committed suicide because he fell in love with a chatbot. His mother's suing OpenAI,
Yep.
and she's suing them because she said that the chatbot was, quote, anthropomorphic, hypersexualized, and frighteningly realistic.
It
And
also, the kid talked to the chatbot about its plans basically to take its own life. And it was this, I read the excerpt. So the conversations with the chatbot, some of them are public. And
yeah,
it's like, oh, like I'll meet you in the afterlife, like kind of weird
wow,
stuff like that. And it's
yeah,
like encouraging this teen to carry out this really
yes,
tragic scheme. And so that's the basis of the lawsuit. So it's not always like, oh, it's just a chat bot, you can't take anything that it says seriously, but in some cases they do try to prove that it played a direct role in this case,
right,
directly validating someone's plans to do that.
right. And people might think, why would a chatbot be such an asshole that they would say something like that to a teenager? But that question reveals that the asker of that question doesn't understand how chatbots work. Human beings have put together lots and lots of words together that in fiction about lovers committing suicide and meeting in the afterlife. Those words are out there and being hoovered up by chatbots as part of their training data. The chatbot has no idea what life or
Right.
death is. It doesn't know what a teenager is. It doesn't know anything. It just
Mm-hmm.
knows that words have been put together in certain orders out there. We've done that, and now we're asking it questions, and it's basically following our instructions. It can only be attributable to human error, according to HAL 9000.
Critically, in this example, it was character.ai, the website.
Oh, was it? Okay, I didn't realize
Yeah,
that.
so that's not ChatGPT in the sense that this
Okay,
website is AIs that are intended to be your friend or be
right,
a relationship to you that you decide. So if a teenager who's kind of emo and looking for that drama and looking for that purpose in life and feeling lost and wanting someone to just talk to about it, like that's what the chatbot's going to be, because he literally went beep boop boop be like that. And
right.
the chat to play that role perfectly, that's what it did, but it was not a healthy premise. So that's just a little bit different, like these character chatbots. And I actually wrote an article this week speaking of that 72% of teens have tried one,
Hmm.
and 50% of them talk to them, quote, regularly. They
And
don't always.
character AI is a big one among teens.
That's a big one. So the reasons they were doing it, they said, was number one was entertainment, which is kind of
Mm-hmm.
interesting, kind of a
Yep,
cool, like very teenage answer to me.
yep,
And then also curiosity. So they're not using it for improve their skills to make them more social outside of the chatbot, which is a good point you brought up last week. Is like, can we use these to
right.
encourage us to be social with other humans? Like they're not doing that. I think they're just bored. Like it's like, oh, I'll watch a Netflix show or I'll talk to this AI and see what it can do for an hour. So that's very widespread behavior, specifically on these companion or relationship chatbots.
And this checks out with what we know about teenagers. I mean, teenagers are hardwired to go through phases where they are trying out different things. What if I acted like this? What if I acted like that?
Yeah.
And so it's a really safe, easy, free, and immediate way to try out different things, see what happens. What happens if I talk like this? What happens if I act like this? And you can do that with a chatbot just to see what happens. The problem is the chatbot is not, what's supposed to happen is you're supposed to try these things in social settings and get a social reaction back from human beings. And then you think, well, that didn't work out very well. I guess I shouldn't act like that. And maybe I'll just, do something else. And this is just all part of growing up. We've all been there. So it's just a problem when you when you have this hardwiring that's designed and assumes uh, human social interaction, but you're applying it to this thing that isn't human at all, can't think, has no feelings, etc., then things go awry. So it's something we all have to worry about. There's actually a private support group managed by somebody called Etienne Brisson, called the Spiral for Individuals. Called the Spiral. I'm sorry, it's called the Spiral, and he said that he's documented about
Sorry,
30
what's it called?
cases of the
Just kidding.
Spiral. Right,
The spiral for individuals, for groups, for teenagers, the spiral.
exactly. I may have schizophrenia, but at least I'll
You
always
might
have
be
each other.
spiraling. I don't
I might
know.
be. Yes, this whole thing might be an episode of some kind of simulation. And he said he's documented over 30 cases of AI psychosis, and so I think the reason this is even a story, the reason we're even talking about it, is not because there's mass psychosis. It's because it's something happening in the fringes. It's very new. I didn't hear about this until this year. Barely heard about it at the beginning of the year. In the last month, I'm hearing about it again and again and again. There's a
I've
great
never
register
heard of
story.
it. Is it
Yeah.
a proper medical term, or what is this
No, no, no,
term?
no. There's been no time for the official medical establishment to get their arms around this thing. It's just being
Right.
trotted out in the press as AI psychosis, for lack of a better term, and there's many different variants of it. But I think eventually we'll get there. But I think you and I can serve as an early warning system about these things. And in the world of AI, whenever there's a trend, and whatever 10 people are doing today, 100 people will be doing tomorrow, and 1,000 the day after tomorrow. So, this, I think it's a certainty that mental health issues that have an AI component, and of course, there's going to be blame, there's going to be calls for legislation, all the usual things. This is all going to happen. And in fact, MIT and OpenAI published a study, found that there's a correlation between overuse, like super high frequency AI chatbot use, and if that happens with somebody who's lonely or emotionally dependent, have a certain personality where they need a lot of emotional feedback, you can end up with all kinds of problems. A person could end up with all kinds of problems with their mental health. So
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I've read this book before. It's the same thing with revenge porn or online bullying or like all these horrible things that teens specifically became exposed to with the internet
mhm,
and social media and in legislation, psychologists, parents, communities were just 40,000 steps behind. And it's like just happening again. And I just feel like that's one reason AI feels different than the
yeah,
advent of the internet, because we all feel like we've just read this book before. It's the same thing. It's taking all these problems and just exacerbating them. And it's so exhausting. Like, I mean,
right,
it's just hard to get excited about this stuff sometimes, don't you think?
yeah, yeah, I do, and I think that the clear problem, the thing that makes it different is that AI hijacks our human hardwiring for what we think interaction is like and who we're interacting with. It makes us think it's human because we are designed to just fundamentally know to the core of our being that when we encounter anything in the world that's talking and has a face and has facial expressions and expresses themselves with words and emotions and all that kind of stuff, that's another person. We know it's another person, and we also know it's not another person. So we have this conundrum. And if you don't believe it, if you think you perceive the world accurately, I invite you to go to Google search and search for that optical illusion where somebody has four eyes and two mouths. And there's many, many different examples. But they create this. You can create a picture of a person that has eyes, two eyes here, a mouth here, a
Hmm.
mouth here, and your brain cannot look at it. Like you see your
Wow.
brain freak out and you experience the freak out because your brain cannot accept. It can't make eye contact with any of the four eyes. You start glitching. You start like freaking out. So I invite you to do that, and then realize what that is that's an example, a small example of an optical illusion that exists because our hardwiring insists that a human face has two and not four eyes.
Wow. That'd be good fodder for a South Park episode, I think. Like, I
Yeah.
just feel like there's something there.
Yes, for
Did you
sure.
hear about the Donald Trump South Park that
I
aired
did.
this
I
week?
saw it,
You saw
which
it?
I don't recommend. but yeah, I
Oh,
saw it.
really? I
Yeah.
heard it was hilarious
Uh,
about
I
Donald
didn't
Trump, right?
listen. Yes, crawling in the desert, buck ass naked, and
How you're
male
gonna
member
word
has little
this?
eyes and stuff. Yeah, I don't mind
Yeah,
profanity, but I just don't. Yeah,
it
but
was too much. All right, well,
it's I don't recommend looking at it. Just know that it exists, and I have a theory about this. If you want to hear it,
sure.
I think South Park wants to end
Whoa.
their their show, and I think there's a possibility. Again, this is not. I'm just making this up. This is just me thinking about this, but I think they want to be canceled over this. And I think that's if that's what they're really trying to do, I think it's fantastic, right? Because
Okay, I see it because, well, I interpreted it as gutsy and cool and of the moment because everyone else, like Stephen Colbert, is getting canceled
right,
over talking
yes,
out about Donald Trump.
uh-huh,
So I thought they were kind of being heroes, sort of like almost like Saturday Night Live is. You know, they poke
right,
fun at everything and they add that
yeah,
humor to society that we're supposed to be able to have. But okay,
yes.
you've taken it like 40 steps further that they're trying to get canceled. So to
We know for
explain.
sure that they expect a strong possibility that the studio will cancel them. I mean, and it's also a test of the theory because the Stephen Colbert theory is a theory. Like he was losing
Right.
tens of millions of dollars a year, so there are actually financially justifiable reasons why they would
Okay, got
cancel
it.
it. But also, the timing
Hmm.
is, we are all assuming that it was retribution,
Hmm.
and we all also know that the studios are bribing the president and so on, and
Right.
with all kinds of things so they can get
Hmm.
mergers and et cetera. So I think that's a possibility, but clearly it's just I mean it's beyond anything the Lincoln
Yeah.
Project ever even imagined
Hmm.
in terms of a harsh, direct, personal attack. So
Right. But he
we'll see what
can't. They
happens.
can't cancel South Park over this because I think South Park has him pinned because they can't. The story can't be we got canceled because we said Donald Trump had a small beep.
Yes,
Like that's
yes,
hilarious. So
yeah,
they have him pinned. They can't do
right,
anything.
right. We'll see. I
We'll
think
see.
I think it's possible, and
We'll see.
I think that would be amazing. Let's draw attention to to how things work now,
Right.
and
But
so
yeah, it's just funny. Like this original, like presumably somewhat human created show to me is
mhm,
like doing something that's funny, that's likable, that's interesting. Okay, it's crude, whatever. But then it's like the AI industry is over here creating these like dumb chat bots and they want us all to be excited and look at them. But it's sometimes like, I don't want
yeah,
to look at that. Like, I don't,
yeah,
what you're doing is just not going well, my friend. Like, there
right,
are other things that
exactly.
are better in the world. Yeah.
Yes, there are. There are many things that are much better
Much
than that. But
better.
yeah,
Yes.
but just just to bring home the point, if you haven't seen this, and again, I don't recommend it. But South Park, it looks like somebody took little scissors and cut out little
Hmm.
characters, and they kind of walk around. It's very crude and very
Wait.
uh
Why are you
un
so like, I don't recommend it? I'm curious about that.
oh it's just visually ugly and horrifying
The
to
specific
see an
episode.
obese, sweaty, naked man in the desert. Never mind the subject, but it's just not good. He's crawling around and rolling around. It's just awful.
It's
But
too extreme.
well,
I haven't seen it.
just to be clear, South Park is normally a little like crude cartoon thing, and they kick into high resolution. It looks like
Oh.
high resolution cinematic video. This is not South Park style.
Oh,
It's
weird.
AI generated, and it's perfect AI. Like it looks perfect in terms of and it's 8K and just cinematically filmed with close-ups and stuff. I mean, it's
Oh, that's
really
crazy.
un-South Parkian in its
Hmm.
visual style.
Weird.
So yeah,
South Park
very
was the
weird.
first that I heard of where they had an episode about one of the characters using ChatGPT to text his girlfriend because he was bad at flirting.
Yeah, very
So
relevant show oftentimes.
very relevant.
So we'll see where that goes. But anyway, I think you started to broaden this thing from the individual cases reported in the media of people experiencing AI psychosis, and I would think that we would broaden even further than you're broadening,
Let's
which is to
go.
include lonely people. There's an epidemic of lonely people, and I find myself talking about this a lot on podcasts and elsewhere. And they sort of there's sort of like this kind of Venn diagram, for lack of a better diagram style, where you have the weirdness of COVID lockdowns, the loneliness epidemic from the dating problems of young people, which we've talked about on the show before, and AI, right? And these things are all kind of connected somehow, where people are lonely, they turn to chatbots instead of people, they get lonelier, they might experience this so-called psychosis. And again, we're going to see a lot more of this, and it's really going to get bad when this stuff happens with a fully realistic 3D virtual reality AI thing that we all know is coming. And all kinds of people all around the world are going to turn to this fantasy world for all the things they need, like human companionship, relationships, all that stuff. And it's not going to be pretty. It's going to be
No.
even less pretty than Donald Trump rolling around in the desert.
I'm just thinking it's thank God we didn't have ChatGPT during COVID. I mean, think
Yeah.
about people at home talking to it, asking it vaccine information.
Right.
Like, oh my God. I mean,
Yep.
it came out November 2022. So we were
Yeah.
pretty much out of it at that
We
point.
had a slight breather before the AI thing descended
Right.
down upon
Yeah.
us.
We went on like one weekend trip and then it was like, whoop, another
Yeah.
existential crisis.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
And so anyway, I guess the moral of the story is don't overdo it, folks. These things are good, and keep your head on your shoulders. Don't fall for the trap of thinking AI is in any way human, has any human feelings, any feelings at all, any thoughts, any emotions, nothing. It's a thing that spits words at you, and it doesn't really care that much what those words are.
I think also you should actively try to have a plan to talk to people in your life about what you're talking to ChatGPT about.
Yeah,
Like, it's not healthy to have certain subjects you
a
only
private
talk
world.
to a private world. That's always bad. Secrets make you sick. I thoroughly believe in that. And you gotta air that out.
Yeah.
Some portion of it.
So you just went to a wedding last weekend, which is
Mm-hmm.
a fairly intensive social situation where you see old friends that you've known for a while, and you meet new people, and everybody's talking and everything. Did any of this stuff come up? Did AI come up? Did this podcast come up? What did you talk about at the wedding with people?
We did. So it was actually a high school friend's wedding. So it was
Oh
almost
wow,
like a high
okay.
school reunion, and we were all sitting around the table just trying to
Mhm.
figure out who the heck we were. So,
Yeah,
like, who are you now? What are you
yeah.
doing? And so we were kind of scraping it together the conversation, and it was very loud, which is a problem at weddings.
Hmm.
Um, I did have an interesting conversation with a connection in the media industry. His name's Adam Bonnecke. He runs video for Fortune now. He used to work at Wall Street Journal.
So
I
he
ran
thinks
into
a lot
him
about this stuff.
a lot about this stuff. And so I was signing the guest book, and it's a lot trend right now with guest books is you take a Polaroid picture of yourself, and then it prints out immediately, and then you tape it in the guest book and write your little note. So
Okay.
I turned around and I asked the person in line behind us, "Can you take a picture of us for the guest book?" And it was Adam, and I was like, "Ah, Adam, like you're at
Yeah,
this wedding, like what's up?" And we immediately just went right into like AI, the media, and
yeah,
just how like influencer culture and what kind of content do people want. And he was very encouraging about our podcast. He had seen clips of it on social media and was just like, I think you guys are doing exactly what you need to be doing. It's informative. It's, kind of bringing in your own perspective. And he was like, sometimes at like Fortune or the Wall Street Journal, like they can't get reporters to do this stuff because they just don't
yeah.
want to put themselves out there and talk and have a
Right,
personality. And I was like, oh, Mike and I have no problem doing that. So
right.
that was cool to hear.
We have no inner monologue. We just say what we what we're going to say. Yeah, no, I know
Right.
some people. People oftentimes go into print journalism, for lack of a more modern term, because they just want to think about what they're doing. They don't like to talk extemporaneously, and so it's sort of a self-selecting thing. But we don't care, and so on. But so, did anybody talk about AI or any of the issues with OpenAI or
No, at
chatbots?
another wedding though, some I did get in a conversation between a mother and her son about AI that kind of was like tense because he actually has kind of like written off the US and is moving to Oaxaca, Mexico. And
Wow.
he's just like, I want to get out of there. I want to get out of this like country. I don't like the way things are going. I don't think, and specifically citing AI. And
Really?
his,
Oh.
yeah, and his mom was like, well, I think it'll be fine. It's just another tool that people use, and we're all going to get used to it. And my hairdresser is using it in this really creative way. And she was
Hmm.
like saying these different things. I don't know if she was trying to talk her son off the ledge, because I think it's kind of hard to hear your son
Yeah.
be so jaded and literally
Right.
leaving the country. So I was kind of just, my eyes were darting back and forth between them. And I was like, oh, I'm an AI journalist. What the heck do I even say right now? And I
Yeah.
realized everyone has such different information about AI. It's like you can't even have a quick conversation about it with people who have never spoken about it before. It's like, what do they think? What do they think? Oh, how are they using it? Are they like it? Are they pro? It's like people can be skeptical of each other. They don't know where the other is coming from, and it's definitely just a very murky space. So that's my impression.
It's here to stay in our culture, and people have impressions, even if they have no knowledge about it. A lot of people don't think much about it, but they make assumptions about it, and there are age differences in how people think about it for
Yep.
clear reasons. And so it's kind of interesting. Oh, well, I think Oaxaca is a good choice. I'm going there
I
myself in about
agree. I
three or
was
four
like, that
days.
sounds great. Yeah.
The food is amazing in Oaxaca. So
Yeah.
if you're gonna flee from the United States, Mexico is a good place to go. Mexico
Yeah.
should probably build a wall to keep out all the fleeing gringos, but
Probably.
wait till I'm on
Yeah.
the Mexico side before you do that, please,
Hmm.
Trump. And anyway, so yeah, so it's a fascinating world, and
Great. I had another thought
it's
this week about
yeah,
it, actually. So
okay,
I was on Spotify and a little podcast popped up. It was like most shared, and it was about, I think it was not the CEO of Anthropic, but someone very high up at Anthropic did an interview. And I was like, ooh, new information. And I clicked it, and it was just the same old stuff about how AI is automating all of our jobs. And it was just
yeah,
these young guys in Silicon Valley,
right,
echo chamber being like, yeah, bro, like your job's gonna be gone. And the guy from Anthropic's like, yeah, even my job's gonna be gone. And it's like, are you guys insane? Like I
yeah,
think, and I was like, first of all, why is this most shared? That's
right,
what the heck? And then I was like, I think it's just young guys who actually like the drama and the severity of it. And they're
yeah.
coming to it like flies and creating this reality that actually is not attractive. But they're working in AI. So they're like, yeah, whatever. In the haves and have nots, like, I'll have a job. And I don't know, it's just the tone is just so broy and so unlikable to me.
I believe the term is broish, but I'm not certain about that.
It's very
I like
broish.
broy.
I thought it was broy.
You're probably right. I've
I don't
never
know.
heard either one of those words
Yeah.
before. But
But
but it's it's what you're saying is that yeah, everybody's talking about it in their own way, based on their own bringing their own thing to it. And I think thank goodness for people like you and people like me who just spend way too much time thinking about it, reading about it, and exploring what's
right.
really happening there. And hopefully we can provide some guidance for people who are getting their information from Broy podcasts.
Broy broish. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just talking about it, I think is helpful because everyone's in their own world with it. Like the three people I just mentioned, the three
Hmm.
groups, the guy who's moving to Oaxaca, his mom who's just trying to hold it all together and, is aging and trying to advance her skills and be open. And
Yeah.
then the broy broish in Silicon Valley who are, kind of on this high horse that they're behind it all and everyone's watching
Yeah.
them and it's so important. It's so dramatic. And there's probably a million other camps on where people are with AI.
I'm sure you're right. And again, I think the theme of this whole episode is I think a lot of people see AI as just a person to talk to, and
Mm-hmm.
it's not a good idea if you're not also talking to people like the ones the flesh and blood types. And yeah, and I don't know if you saw, I wrote a piece for my newsletter about that, how people start using human whenever there's a story, they're AI in there to disambiguate from the AI person. They don't use person,
Mm-hmm.
they use human. And I think that's a noxious trend that I'd like to arrest in right now. And, it's okay when you write about AI, when you're referring to the user or the subjects that are that are human subjects to refer to them as people and persons and so on,
Instead of human.
instead of
That's
human.
your gripe.
That's my gripe. It's a subtle linguistic thing lost on a lot of people, but I think can be demonstrated numerically that the usage of the word human over person or people is 10 times higher than in articles that refer to AI in any way. I'm
I think you're right. I think it's because people are attracted to the drama, like I just said. Like when you
Yeah,
specify a human, you're zooming out to like the human race. You're
yeah,
thinking, oh, we
right,
are a species and there's something coming for us.
yeah.
And that is more dramatic. And that's probably why it's in the press. I use it, but also people are talking about it all the time. There's podcasts, I mean, the tech companies are using it. And I think it's for the drama.
I'm sure you're right. Drama sells, keeps the
Mm-hmm.
eyeballs glued. Everybody wants the eyeballs glued to something or
Mm-hmm.
another, including us. So
Yeah,
anyway, do you want to close it up, or shall I?
I'm good. I do think I'm going to take a break from ChatGPT this weekend
Are you? All
after
right.
all that. Too much
Yeah.
renovation talk with the idiot. I just can't
The
trust
idiot.
it. The
Yeah.
idiot.
I
But
like it.
yeah.
I just took a week off. I was in Mexico City eating the world's greatest food and drinking incredible wine and cocktails on the gastronomic experience, and it was just been fantastic. And I didn't even think about AI chatbots the entire week, for the most part. I think I looked up a particular detail about Teotihuacan when I was standing on the pyramid,
Mm,
but beyond that, I don't think I ever got anywhere near a chatbot. So that was pretty awesome.
that sounds like a good week.
Highly recommended. Highly
Yeah.
recommended that everybody take a chatbot detox.
Chatbot free summer.
That's right.
All right. Well, you have just listened to another episode of the Super Intelligent Podcast with me, Emily Forlini, and my co host, Mike. So, we're not taking any payment for this, no ads or anything, but we would really love if you share it, if you give it a review. I noticed we only have 2 reviews on Spotify. So, if you could just go to Spotify and hit the 5-star button, 4-star, 3-star, 1 star, any interaction will take it, but five's the best. Um, and yeah, thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next week.